Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Historic blow to would-be Chancellor Friedrich Merz as he misses majority in German Parliament's first voting. Bundestag vice head urges swift session for new Chancellor vote on Wednesday. Far-right AFD demands fresh elections. Pakistan gets cornered at the UNSC closed-door meet over Pahalgam terror attack. Members unanimously reject its false flag narrative, call missile tests escalatory. NSA Ajit Doval meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Union Home Secretary holds meeting with State Chief Secretaries on mock drills tomorrow to gauge civil defence preparedness. And Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to meet Donald Trump in the Oval Office. The move aimed at resetting strained ties. In an unexpected setback, German Conservative leader Friedrich Merz failed to secure enough parliamentary votes to become Chancellor on Tuesday, throwing politics in Europe's largest economy into disarray as it seeks to emerge from recession and stem far-right extremism. Merz, who led his Conservatives to a federal election victory in February and signed a coalition deal with the centre-left Social Democrats, won just 310 votes in the lower house, the Bundestag, 6 short of an absolute majority. At least 18 coalition MPs failed to back him. While not a fatal setback, Merz's failure to win backing at the first attempt is a first for post-war Germany and an embarrassment for a man who has promised to restore German leadership on the world stage. 9 lawmakers abstained while 307 voted against Merz.
Number of members 630, cast ballots 621, invalid ballots 1. 310 parliamentarians voted in favour, 307 voted against, 3 abstained. Deputy Friedrich Merz has not reached the required majority of at least 316 votes. Pursuant to Article 63, Part 2 of the Constitution, he has not been elected Federal Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany.
Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now for more on this story. Lars, what's the latest you have for us from Berlin?
Thanks for having me. Well, what a surprise. Today was meant to be a day of celebration for Friedrich Merz, who was set to become Chancellor. He won the election 10 weeks ago and he forged a coalition that has a slight majority in the Bundestag, the German parliament. And then entirely unexpectedly, Merz did not get enough votes to actually become a Chancellor. Now, the parties in the Bundestag have all retreated and are discussing what to do next. But here's what's likely going to happen. There will be a second vote, although not today. And if it doesn't get enough of a majority, then there will be a third vote where the threshold will be a lot lower. So after all is said and done, Friedrich Merz is likely still going to be the next Chancellor of Germany, but today has definitely cast a dark shadow over his upcoming term. And that's shocking indeed. So far, over those past few weeks, coalition talks had looked good. There was a certain spirit of getting things done, putting together a government that can tackle immigration and get Germany out of its current economic misery. And now this all seems to be put on hold.
But Lars, why did this fallout happen in the Bundestag and what will happen next?
Yeah, that's the million-euro question. Nobody knows exactly what happened. We do know that the coalition of Merz's center-right CDU and the center-left Social Democrats would have had enough of a majority to get this through today. Maybe there was some dissatisfaction within the coalition, likely with a junior partner. Maybe people weren't happy with the choice of department heads. Or maybe it was the fact that Friedrich Merz is not really a well-liked politician to begin with. Some, especially on the left, have, for example, criticized him for taking time off from his political career a few years ago to work for the global investment company BlackRock, certainly not a popular company. Then again, it was his business acumen that had also made him look like a good choice to tackle Germany's current problems. For example, he broke with tradition when he didn't pick mostly career politicians to serve as department heads and ministers, but actually recruited people from the business sector to be in charge of the economy, digitalization and such. So anyway, there will be another vote, as I said, and it's possible that some parliamentarians will accept Merz as chancellor after all and vote for him then, after maybe just symbolically lashing out at him today.
Okay, last, talking of Germany's problems, what are the priorities for the new government?
Well, once the new government is in place, there's mainly two things. They have to deal with immigration and they need to jumpstart the economy. And to achieve that, especially the latter part, they've actually started already. The coalition partners have agreed to loosen the so-called debt brake, a mechanism that has long hindered investment because the government was not allowed to take on new debt. And now they can, up to 500 billion euros for infrastructure alone. And the coalition has also agreed on another 500 billion euro package for investment in defense. And that's also an infusion not only in national security, but obviously in the country's economy as well. And then they also want to allow businesses to write off investments faster, which might lead many companies to massively invest in new machines, in new plants. So there are definitely some strong ideas out there. Obviously, Germany is facing challenges, not only a 3-year recession, but also tariff threats from the US. We have some supply chain issues, a lack of skilled labor. So it really does seem that the new government has its work cut out for them, and now we just have to wait and see when that work actually starts.
Thank you, Lars, for all those updates. Lars Holter joining us from DW Berlin. Moving on now. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday discussed the progress talks between Iran and the United States with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. Putin said Russia is ready to facilitate dialogue between Iran and the US to reach a fair agreement. The Kremlin said that they also discussed bilateral relations, including the development of major energy projects. The two countries have held 3 rounds since April 12th, their highest level contact since the United States withdrew from a landmark deal with Iran in 2018 during Donald Trump's first term as president. Russia has deepened its military and diplomatic ties with Iran since it launched its offensive on Ukraine in February 2022. The Kremlin on Tuesday said that Russian forces still planned to cease fire in Ukraine from May 8th to 10th, as per President Vladimir Putin's orders, but would respond if Ukrainian forces tried to strike Russian positions. Putin on April 28th declared a 3-day ceasefire to mark the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet Union and its allies over Nazi Germany in the Second World War. The Kremlin said that the 72-hour ceasefire would run on May 8th and 9th, when Putin will host international leaders on Moscow's Red Square, including Chinese President Xi Jinping. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has so far appeared to rule out such a brief ceasefire, saying he's only ready to sign up to a ceasefire that would last at least 30 days. An idea, Putin has said, needs a lot of work before it could become a reality. European Trade Commissioner Markus Šefčovič on Tuesday said that the European Union does not feel undue pressure to accept an unfair trade deal with the United States. He added that other trading partners were very keen to accelerate talks with the bloc.
We do not feel under undue pressure to accept the deal, which would not be fair for us. We are absolutely clear that we are the biggest trading bloc on this planet, with very strong economy and with very biggest actually the network of our free trade agreements. And we know that this negotiation might not in the end succeed despite of all our sincere efforts. So therefore, we of course are preparing for the possible and might be needed rebalancing.
On to Rome now. All 133 Catholic cardinals eligible to vote for the next pope have arrived in Rome ahead of the conclave starting Wednesday. These leaders from 70 countries are engaged in discussions on key church matters before they enter the Sistine Chapel. The process follows strict secrecy, with ballots burned after each vote. Black smoke will indicate no decision, while white smoke will signify the selection of a new pope. While some front-runners, such as Italian Cardinal Pietro Parolin and Filipino Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle have been named, many cardinals remain undecided on who will lead the church forward. The conclave, steeped in centuries-old tradition, could last for days or even weeks. The world watches as Catholic leaders take on their historic responsibility in shaping the church's future. So as the Vatican awaits its new pope, public curiosity grows. Who are the cardinals? How do they choose the next leader of the church? And what role do they play in shaping its future? So first, about who are the cardinals shaping the future of the church. Cardinals are top-ranking Catholic clergy appointed by the Pope. Cardinals advise and assist in church governance. Cardinals from the College of Cardinals, the body that elects a new pope in a conclave. Only cardinals under 80, called cardinal electors, vote in a papal election. The conclave, held in the Sistine Chapel of the Vatican City, follows secrecy and tradition. Cardinals are created by the Pope, not simply named or promoted. Most cardinals are bishops, either heading dioceses or serving in the Vatican. The title cardinal denotes honor and influence, not a specific church office. Cardinals wear scarlet red, symbolizing both authority and sacrifice. Their rank makes them second only to the Pope in church hierarchy. Called princes of the church, cardinals shape their Catholic leadership. Moving on to the Israel-Hamas conflict now. A senior Hamas official has said on Tuesday that the group was no longer interested in truce talks with Israel. The official said that the world must pressure the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to end the conflict in Gaza. Meanwhile, mediator Qatar on Tuesday said it was still pursuing efforts for a Gaza war ceasefire even after Israel approved expanded operations, and Hamas said that it wasn't interested in further talks. Qatar Foreign Ministry spokesman said that Qatar remains in continuous contact with all parties despite major obstacles to a new accord. On Monday, Israel said its security cabinet approved the military's plan for expanded operations, which one official said would entail the conquest of the Gaza Strip and the holding of the territories. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is in the United States for a high-stakes meeting with Donald Trump as the American president continues his trade war and annexation threats against Canada. The White House visit comes just a week after Carney led the Liberals to their fourth consecutive election victory. The US and Canada have been locked in a dispute over automotive and other tariffs imposed by Donald Trump. Carney has termed the US actions as a betrayal and says Canada must reduce its reliance on the US, which takes 75% of all Canadian exports. The talks are also expected to focus on creating new security and defense ties. So ahead of the meeting, US President Donald Trump has said that he was unsure why Canadian Prime Minister was coming to see him.
What's your expectation for your meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister tomorrow?
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want.
One of the most prestigious recognitions in journalism, the Pulitzer Prize Board on Monday announced the winners of its 2025 awards. The New York Times secured 4 awards across multiple categories. The Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal also received honors for their high-impact reporting on key political and societal issues. The Times also received awards in other categories for its wide-ranging coverage of global and national stories. Reuters was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for investigative reporting for its expansive series Fentanyl Express, which exposed the international supply chains behind the opioid crisis in the United States. The story, A Death in Alabama by Mark Warren, earned the magazine its first ever Pulitzer for feature writing. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. For years, Somalia's leaders were chosen by clan elders, not by public vote. Marking a big movement of change and hope, people are now voting in local elections, some of them for first time since the country's early years of independence. Mongolia's premier theatre festival, the 18th Jigin Musa Festival, has expanded its reach internationally, featuring artists from Greece, Romania and the UAE. The festival showcases over 40 works across 5 categories, including a new puppetry section celebrating diverse talent and excellence in dramatic arts. An exhibition titled Spring in Turkmenistan showcased over 30 paintings by renowned Polish graphic artist Hona Galeka, who spent 2 months in Turkmenistan capturing the beauty of the landscapes. The event serves as a cultural bridge between Poland and Turkmenistan. As cocoa prices hit record highs in Nigeria, many are turning to cocoa farming. The price surge coincided with Nigeria's worst economic crisis in over 3 decades, and those making a living from cocoa were largely protected. You're with us on DD India Live, still to come on the show. Voting for the local council elections concludes in Sri Lanka. We'll tell you how the island voted. And stars shine at the Met Gala. New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art dazzles with global celebrities.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to Asia now. Voting has concluded at all 13,759 polling stations in Sri Lanka for the local government polls. Though the Election Commission is yet to disclose the voter turnout for the elections, designated buses will transfer the ballot boxes to the counting centres, after which the counting process would commence. This is the country's 3rd major election in a year, following last year's presidential and parliamentary polls.
Elections are for getting local people elected to this office. It's not a, it hasn't the importance of parliament or president, but on the other hand, for local people, for local affairs, this is an important one. It depends how the elector looks at it. I think we want our candidates to do well. The government has made it a litmus test on themselves.
All right. The United Nations Security Council, UNSC, seemed disinclined to offer support to Pakistan. Instead, asked tough questions over the targeting of civilians and tourists in Pahalgam in a closed-door consultation meet on the current situation. Unlike formal sessions held in the UNSC chamber, these consultations took place in a separate room next to the chamber. There was a broad condemnation of the terrorist attack and the recognition of the need for accountability. Some members specifically brought up targeting of tourists on the basis of their religious faith. Pakistan's efforts to internationalize the situation also failed. It was advised to sort out issues bilaterally with India. Though there was no statement published, but UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that he understands the feelings following the awful terror attack in Pahalgam and reiterated his strong condemnation of that attack, extending his condolences to the families of the victims.
I once again strongly condemn that attack and extend my condolences to the families of the victims. Targeting civilians is unacceptable, and those responsible must be brought to justice through credible lawful means. It is also essential, especially at this critical hour, to avoid a military confrontation that could easily spin out of control. Now is the time for maximum restraint and stepping back from the brink. That has been my message in my ongoing outreach with both countries. Make no mistake, a military solution is no solution. And I offer my good offices to both governments in the service of peace. The United Nations stands ready to support any initiative that promotes de-escalation, diplomacy, and the renewed commitment to peace.
India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Tuesday. This is the second time the Prime Minister has been briefed by the NSA in the past 48 hours, and it comes a day before state governments will conduct mock security drills. Prime Minister Modi has held multiple high-level meetings with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, and the Army, Navy and Air Force chiefs over the past few days. Last week, the Prime Minister gave the armed forces complete freedom to decide on the mode, targets and timing of India's military response. And in news just coming in, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a telephonic conversation with Anthony Albanese today and congratulated him on his historic re-election as the 32nd Prime Minister of Australia. Both Prime Ministers reaffirmed their commitment to strengthen the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership CSP between the two countries. They noted that in its 5 years, the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership has seen robust cooperation developing across a diverse range of sectors. They stressed on the role played by the vibrant Indian origin diaspora in cementing bilateral ties. The two leaders also exchanged views on regional and global matters of mutual interest and reiterated their commitment to working together in promoting a free, open, stable, rules-based and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Prime Minister Modi invited Prime Minister Albanese to visit India, including for the annual summit and the Quad summit to be hosted in India later in the year. The leaders agreed to remain in touch. Union Home Secretary held a meeting with Chief Secretaries of States on Tuesday to evaluate civil defence preparedness. The Home Ministry on Monday asked all states to conduct mock drills on May 7th, given the new and complex threats. The preparedness comes following the Pahalgam terror attack on April 22nd. As many as 26 persons were killed in the gruesome attack in Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has vowed to avenge the killings and pursue the perpetrators of the attack and those who took part in the conspiracy to the ends of the earth. So India is conducting mock security drills for the first time since the 1971 war with Pakistan for effective civil defence in the event of a hostile attack. The drill is extended to the village level. It will assess readiness and coordination of civil defence forces involving officials, volunteers, NCC, NSS, NYKS and students. There will be a number of measures taken, such as assessing the operationalization of the air raid warning sirens with testing hotline and radio links with the Indian Air Force, the testing of the functionality of the control rooms and shadow control rooms. It will also include the training of civilians, including students, on civil defense aspects to protect themselves in the event of a hostile attack, such as firefighting, rescue and warden services. Another feature of the mock drill is to ensure blackout and camouflage readiness and the provision for early camouflaging of vital plants or installations. And lastly, evacuation plans and its rehearsal will be conducted and assessed. India's Parliamentary and Minority Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju addressed the opening ceremony of the UN Day of Vesak in Ho Chi Minh City today. Minister Rijiju conveyed warmest greetings and message on behalf of Prime Minister Modi. He noted that timeless teachings of Lord Buddha offer profound insights and solutions to most of the present global challenges. He also invited the followers of Lord Buddha to visit the sacred sites associated with the teachings of Lord Buddha in India and connect with this living heritage. Rijiju separately met the President of Vietnam, Loong Chuong. While recognizing the healthy progress made in multiple dimensional cooperation between India and Vietnam, both leaders affirmed support for further strengthening the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. And on to sports news now. World number one Yannick Sinner was treated with great fanfare at the Italian Open after his 3-month ban from the sport expired on Monday. Sinner was welcomed to a stadium filled with nearly 5,000 fans for his first practice session in Rome. Sinner said he was happy to return to tennis after a very long time as he pared back expectations ahead of the Italian Open, where he will make his return this week. Sinner has a bye in the first round and will face the winner between Mariano Navone or Federico Sina in the second round. Sinner accepted the 3-month ban in February after a settlement with World Anti-Doping Agency.
Very happy to be back here. It has been 3 very long months. Was glad to share some great moments with my family, with my friends. We were practicing very hard, especially in the gym in the beginning.
And the Met Gala 2025 kicked off at New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art with a slew of dazzling stars hitting the red carpet. The exhibition showcased historical and contemporary garments, accessories, as well as drawing prints, paintings and photographs that have shaped the understanding of Black identities and experiences. This year's theme, Superfine, Tailoring Black Style, examines Black dandyism from the 18th century to the present. Many Bollywood stars also attended the fashion's biggest night of the year. Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan made his grand debut at the event, becoming the first ever Indian male actor to walk the red carpet. Actress Priyanka Chopra, Indian fashion designer Manish Malhotra and Harvard graduate and tech entrepreneur Mona Patel also attended the Met Gala. So that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. In New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.